It was just after midnight on February 4th, 1999, in the Soundview section of the Bronx. The kind of cold New York night where your breath hangs in the air like a ghost. 23-year-old Amadou Diallo stood in the doorway of his own building on Wheeler Avenue. He wasn't bothering anyone. He wasn't running. He was simply existing. Then 4 plainclothes NYPD officers from the elite street crime unit rolled up in an unmarked car. Sean Carroll, Edward McMillan, Kenneth Boss, and Richard Murphy. They were hunting a serial rapist. They said Diallo matched the description. What happened in the next few terrifying seconds would echo far beyond that vestibule. Diallo reached into his pocket, not for a weapon, for his wallet, to prove who he was. One officer screamed, "Gun!" and hell unleashed. 41 shots, 19 hits. Bullets tore through his body, chest, legs, even the soles of his feet as he lay dying on the concrete. The sound was deafening. Neighbors said it sounded like fireworks exploding in the hallway. When the smoke cleared, there was no gun, just a black wallet and a pager lying next to his bleeding body. Imagine it. You leave your home country for a better life. You sell videos and socks on the street to pay rent and chase an education. You make it to America, and then, in the entrance to your own home, you are executed. Not because you did anything wrong, but because someone decided your skin and a wallet looked like a threat. This wasn't a mistake in the heat of battle. This was a barrage so relentless that officers kept firing even after Diallo was on the ground. This was the sound of fear, power, and assumption colliding in the dead of night. And what came next? The system closed ranks. The officers were charged, tried, and acquitted. The city paid millions in civil settlement, but no one went to prison. Amadou Diallo became another name, another statistic, another symbol. But here's what they don't want you to connect. This playbook, the quick assumption of guilt, the overwhelming force, the protection of the badge, didn't start in the Bronx. And it didn't end there. This same pattern has played out in cities across America and has been exported, copied, and repeated in countries around the world. By the end of this deep dive, you will see how one man's death in a New York doorway reveals a global machinery of suspicion and violence that still targets Black and immigrant bodies in 2026. You'll understand why "I thought he had a gun" has become a universal get-out-of-jail-free phrase. And you'll never look at a simple traffic stop, a late-night encounter, or a police approach the same way again. This is the story of Amadou Diallo, and it's bigger than America. If what you just heard already has your stomach turning, if the image of an unarmed young man reaching for his wallet and being met with 41 bullets makes you feel something, real anger, real sadness, real disgust at how disposable some lives are treated, then prove it right now. Don't let this video become another piece of content that the algorithm buries, because people watched in silence. If you believe no one should be gunned down in their own doorway simply because of the color of their skin or where they came from, then hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. Show the platform that stories exposing these truths matter. Because every like, every subscribe tells the system, we see you. We won't let these stories disappear. Amadou's mother and father fought for years just to be heard. The least we can do is make sure his name isn't forgotten again. Do it now, before the next recommended video pulls you away. Your action keeps this truth alive. Welcome back to the channel where we take explosive American stories of racism and discrimination and expose how they ripple across the entire world. Today we're dissecting one of the most infamous cases in modern policing history, the Amadou Diallo shooting. We're not here to rehash headlines. We're going deep minute-by-minute reconstruction, the human story behind the victim, the officer's mindset, the cover-up attempts, the acquittal that shocked the nation, and most importantly, how this American tragedy became a blueprint used in countries from Europe to Latin America and Africa today. You'll get never-before-seen angles in long form, the statistical disparities in the street crime unit, the contagious shooting phenomenon, the media spin, and the global parallels that will leave you stunned. This is part of our ongoing series on global racism and discrimination, raw, detailed, and unfiltered. If you're new here, you're in the right place. Stick with us. Amadou Diallo was born in 1975 in Liberia to Guinean parents. He grew up in a world shaped by political instability and economic hardship, but he carried a quiet determination. In 1996, at the age of 21, he immigrated to the United States seeking the American dream. He settled in the Bronx, worked as a street vendor selling videos, gloves, socks, whatever he could survive, and dreamed of going to college. Friends described him as soft-spoken, hard-working, and respectful. He had no criminal record. He was simply trying to build a life. New York in the late 1990s was a city still gripped by fear of crime. The Street Crime Unit, the officers who approached Diallo, was an elite, aggressive squad known for stop-and-frisk tactics. They operated under a zero-tolerance mindset. In the years leading up to 1999, this unit stopped and frisked tens of thousands of people, the vast majority of them black or Latino. Guns recovered were extremely rare, yet the unit was celebrated internally for its aggressive policing. This was the environment Amadou Diallo walked into that cold February night. A young black immigrant in a high-crime neighborhood, judged instantly by appearance and location. The officers later claimed he fit the description of a serial rapist they were seeking. But Diallo was 5'6", slim, and carried nothing but identification. The assumption was made in seconds, and it cost him his life. The incident itself unfolded in less than 20 seconds, but changed everything. The 4 officers approached the building. Diallo stood in the vestibule. Words were exchanged. He reached for his wallet. The shout of "gun" rang out. Then came the gunfire, round after round, echoing through the narrow space. Some officers fired from behind cars. Others advanced while shooting. Even after Diallo collapsed, bullets continued. When it ended, 41 shell casings littered the ground. 19 struck Diallo. The medical examiner would later note wounds to his legs, torso, arms, and the bottoms of his feet, consistent with shots fired while he was already down. No weapon was found on him. Only his wallet and pager. The city erupted. Protests filled the streets. Civil rights leaders called it modern lynching. The case became a national flashpoint on racial profiling and police brutality. Yet, when the officers went to trial in Albany after venue change, they were acquitted on all charges. The jury accepted the defense that it was a tragic mistake made under split-second pressure. This acquittal, more than the shooting itself, became the real bombshell. It sent a message that even in the face of overwhelming firepower against an unarmed man, the system would protect its own. Internal reports later revealed the Street Crime Unit stop-and-frisk numbers showed massive racial disparities. Thousands upon thousands of stops. Minimal weapons recovered. Yet the tactics continued, continuing directly into the middle of the script. Have you or someone you know, especially as a black immigrant or a person of color, ever been stopped by police and felt that split-second fear because reaching for your ID could be mistaken for something deadly? Share your story in the comments right now. Let's expose how widespread this pattern truly is. The Diallo case did not remain an American tragedy. Its lessons, or rather its failures, were studied and repeated globally. In France, young black and Arab men face similar deadly encounters with police in banlieues, with officers often claiming they fear for their lives. In Brazil, police killings of young black men in favelas run into the thousands annually, with the same justification of suspected danger. In the UK, stop-and-search powers disproportionately target black communities, sometimes escalating into violence. Even in countries across Africa and Latin America, security forces trained or influenced by American policing models have adopted aggressive tactics that produce parallel outcomes. America didn't invent this problem, but refined the playbook. The rapid escalation, the assumption of threat based on race, the institutional protection afterward. And that playbook has been copied worldwide. This story reveals that systemic racism in policing is not isolated incidents, but a connected global pattern, one that assumes guilt first and asks questions never. Amadou Diallo's death asks us all one lingering question. How many more wallets will be mistaken for guns before the world demands real change? Thank you for watching all the way through this deep dive into the Amadou Diallo shooting. It takes courage to sit with these uncomfortable truths, and I appreciate you being here. If this video opened your eyes, please share it with at least one person who needs to see it. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, so you never miss an expose like this. Your support keeps these hidden stories alive. Next time, we're exposing another American case with even wider global consequences. Stay tuned.